or to have gratitude for what is given. Now, you could think, oh, okay, so it's the most low-level acceptance of what it's about. Yes and no. I mean, Ras Kropotkin says that basically, when she did defend Zionism, meaning a homeland for the Jewish people, she did it out of fear of anti-Semitism, and that it was fear of anti-Semitism that motivated her more than anything else. But she also said that, if something devastating would happen to the state of Israel, it would destroy her more than anything else possibly could. So there's obviously some affective sense of belonging that's not fully avowed in political arguments such as these. Okay, I think that to understand her position on this issue, one has to understand what she's doing with the notion of the nation state. And On the Origins of Totalitarianism is an extremely important book because it basically argues that any state that requires a single nation or that requires nationalism belonging to a single homogeneous nation inevitably creates exiles, refugees, and the displacement of populations who do not conform to that idea of the nation. So if there's to be a state, it either has to be multinational, cross-national, or post-national. For her, dispossession and displacement were not exclusively Jewish problems. And in this way, we can understand her worry about Israel becoming a nation of Jews or a nation for the Jews. And in fact, I want to suggest that it was precisely coming out of Nazi Germany where nationalism took hold and where the nation state took the form of National Socialism, and those who did not belong to the given notion of the nation had to be forcibly expelled or even exterminated, that she consolidated her view on the nation state. And it was on the basis of her experience with Nazi Germany and in witnessing what happened in Nazi Germany that she devised this rather strong critique of nationalism and of the nation state and applied it to Israel itself. Okay. So you have to notice that even though many of us have received, and some of us will doubtless continue to hold to the idea that the extermination of the Jews by the Nazi regime led inexorably to the founding of the State of Israel, in Arendt's mind, the extermination of the Jews shows what happens when you base a state on a nation that is exclusionary or repressive and demands a homogeneous population. Which is why she thought that basing the state of Israel on the Jewish religion or the Jewish nation was a mistake, especially when there's already a population there. For her, the issue was the question of what kind of polity would support cohabitation. Okay, so let's just keep that in mind. Now, there are many people who've done extraordinary work on this question of how we're to think the link between the Nazi genocide and the founding of Israel. And I'm actually giving you some Israeli names because I think it's subversive to do that. I hope it's not messed up to do that. But I think it's important to see that this critique doesn't just come from those who are against Israel or anti-Semitism like that. One of the very best so-called new historicists of this period is Judith Butler. And she has two books in English. She has several books in French on the catastrophe and founding of the Israeli nation state. Another one called, I'm not going to remember, Nation and Something Else, the two basic ones. There's of the nation state on an exclusionary basis. Okay. So, but let me just say a couple of other things that I want to clarify. Okay, so Zionism Reconsidered was an essay she wrote in the late 40s, extremely important essay, very controversial. There she offers an historical account of the inception of Zionism and its changes in the mid-20th century. She terms absurd the notion that a Jewish state would be erected in what she calls a sphere of interest of the superpowers. And there she's extremely worried that that this state, instead of emerging from the popular support of the people, is actually being installed by superpowers, and which will have to maintain its legitimacy over time. Such a state, she says, suffers under the delusion of nationhood. Only follower could dictate a policy which trusts a distant imperial power for protection while alienating the goodwill of its neighbors. And then she's very worried as well because she thinks that the survival of the Jews is bound up with the possibility of finding a federated polity. She thinks the Jews will always be in danger if they refuse to build a state on the basis of binationalism or federation. So that's some part of this. I want to say a couple of things about this. Okay, so I guess what I want to say is that it's interesting that in the late 40s through the 60s, she becomes concerned with the rights of the stateless. And in a way, it's a concern that emerges out of her own exile. We can certainly speculate on that. In being part of an expulsion from Germany in the 30s, and then undertaking a study of 20th century expulsions. Sorry, I'm actually just using the citation I have, which I think would be really interesting for you. Okay, we'll just leave it for now. In a way, it seemed to me that her concern about Palestine was also a concern about continuing history of dispossession and statelessness. And it's interesting to me that Said, in this book, Freud and the Non-European, offers a very similar kind of position. And he read Arendt quite avidly. I mean, he noted her cultural racism, right? I mean, she's calling for a political solution, which includes the coexistence of Arab and Jew, but she obviously engages in unbridled cultural racism of a certain kind against Arab populations and even against Arab Jews.